Because, of course, they are really reflecting people's deep alarm and deep concern about the fact that the Queen is extremely unwell, and of course that we are expecting the news from Balmoral that she's having treatment, or that indeed they are unable to help Her Majesty anymore. A few moments ago, Buckingham Palace announced the death of Her Majesty Queen Elizabeth II. The Palace has just issued this statement. It says the Queen died peacefully at Balmoral this afternoon. The King and the Queen Consort will remain at Balmoral this evening and will return to London tomorrow. Within the past few minutes, Buckingham Palace has announced the death of Her Majesty Queen Elizabeth II. To recap on the statement, the Queen died peacefully at Balmoral this afternoon. The King, that is Charles, and the Queen Consort will remain at Balmoral this evening and will return to London tomorrow. Her Majesty was 96.
Excited about Jacqueline Jepkoech, Winfred Yarvi as well. Watch out for her. So 7.
The BBC is interrupting its normal programmes to bring you an important announcement. This is BBC News from London. Buckingham Palace has announced the death of Her Majesty Queen Elizabeth II. In a statement, the Palace said the Queen died peacefully at Balmoral this afternoon. The King and the Queen Consort will remain at Balmoral this evening and will return to London tomorrow. BBC Television is broadcasting this special programme reporting the death of Her Majesty the Queen.
On the Mall, when it happened, people did come and people did celebrate in the way that they did.
All right, Chris and Hugo, thank you. And I'm afraid to say in the last few moments, the following statement has been released. It reads, I will find that statement for you. The Queen died peacefully at Balmoral this afternoon. The King and the Queen Consort remain at Balmoral this evening and will return to London tomorrow. So let's take a moment to reflect on that news.
But just you wait until Warren finds out what his precious son tried to do to him. Hold on.
This is Channel 4. We now join the Channel 4 News.
Good evening. Buckingham Palace has announced the death of Queen Elizabeth II, the longest reigning monarch in British history. Her reign lasted for 70 years, from post-war austerity and the end of empire through the expansion of the Commonwealth. She helped preserve the institution of the monarchy during times of massive social change. At her coronation, the Queen repeated her pledge to serve her people and fulfilled it throughout her reign with a combination of skill and a sense of duty. In a statement, Buckingham Palace said the Queen died peacefully at Balmoral this afternoon. The King and the Queen Consort will remain at Balmoral this evening and will return to London tomorrow. The Queen died today at Balmoral Castle in Scotland. She was 96. Her 4 children, Prince Charles, Princess Anne, Prince Andrew and Prince Edward, all travelled to Scotland, and Princes William and Harry have joined the rest of the family.
And as we're watching those gates at Balmoral, we can bring you the breaking news tonight on 5 News. And I'm afraid it is with great sadness that we bring you this news and tell you that Her Majesty the Queen has sadly died. Her family, including Charles and Princess William and Harry, have travelled to Balmoral earlier on today. And in the last few minutes, we have received a statement from Buckingham Palace. And I know that people are joining us all the time, and I know that this news is particularly significant, and I know that it's probably one of those days where many of you watching us tonight will be shaken by what you've heard because of the nature of the huge part that the Queen has had in so many lives of so many people who are watching us tonight, but also have lived their entire lives with Queen Elizabeth on the throne. And we are reflecting tonight on that news, that we are bringing you the sad news of the death of Her Majesty the Queen. We are awaiting a statement from the Palace. And hopefully we can bring that to you now. It's very short, there isn't much of it, but it is the news that we have been waiting for. It's the sad news confirmed by Buckingham Palace in the last few moments that the Queen has died peacefully at Balmoral this afternoon. That's just reaching us now tonight at 5.
So as we leave the gates closing after 1 or 2, it's worth remembering, Balmoral is a huge functioning family estate and folk will work there, come and go, and we've seen cars do literally that, come and go. If they look like being ones that matter, we will tell you. The statement reads, and I quote, "The Queen died peacefully at Balmoral this afternoon. The King and Queen Consort will remain at Balmoral this evening and will return to London." That is the statement from Buckingham Palace. We will now fade to black and we will play the national anthem.
This is CNN Breaking News.
I want to go straight to London. I want to bring in CNN Royal correspondent Max Foster outside Buckingham Palace. Max, what are you learning?
The Queen has died, very sadly. She died peacefully at Balmoral this afternoon. The King and Queen Consort were referenced there to Charles. He automatically becomes King, will remain at Balmoral this evening and will return to London tomorrow. I'm just going to look at another email I just received, if there's any extra there. No. the Queen has died, and long live the King. I'm not going to call him King Charles because we don't know what his name will be, but all we know is the Queen died peacefully at Balmoral this afternoon, which is horrific news for the nation, and I can only imagine how people feel watching this. You'll see that the flag over Buckingham Palace has been lowered to symbolise the Queen's death. I don't know quite what to say. I mean, this was the news we were dreading, but obviously what happened this afternoon was the Queen died and the family were informed and they headed up to Balmoral and they are there to pay their respects. There's a very clear process that follows. Now we would expect to hear from the King tonight in a televised address, and you'll start hearing bells tolling across London and indeed the nation, and flags lowered like this will be reflected at public buildings across the United Kingdom. And we now have a very clear process of about 10 days leading up to a funeral. But I don't want to give too much detail about the plans that I've seen because they do need to be signed off.
Bonsoir à tous, bonsoir Anne-Claire.
Bonsoir Gilles, bonsoir à tous.
Le communiqué officiel a été publié il y a quelques courts instants à 19h30, heure française très précisément. La reine Elisabeth II est décédée cet après-midi à l'âge de 96 ans.
Alors on s'en souvient tous, en juin dernier, les Britanniques avaient fêté le jubilé de platine de cette souveraine, la plus ancienne souveraine au monde, 70 ans de règne. Elle était devenue reine à la mort de son père, le roi George VI. Elle était aimée évidemment de ce peuple britannique qui va donc probablement se rassembler peu à peu devant le palais de Buckingham. La reine Elisabeth, elle, qui était pour ces derniers instants à Balmoral en Écosse. Ces dernières heures, toutes les dépêches se montraient très...
Jouer, nous revenons après.
Nous interrompons nos programmes parce que nous venons d'apprendre que la reine Elisabeth II était morte. En début d'après-midi, ses médecins avaient fait part de leurs préoccupations sur son état de santé. Sa famille s'était immédiatement rendue à son chevet au château de Balmoral. Il y a quelques minutes, son décès a donc été annoncé. Nous reviendrons tout au long de ce journal sur cette information. Nous évoquerons son règne de 70 ans, sa personnalité. Tout ce qu'il va se passer à partir d'aujourd'hui est écrit, organisé. Dès ce soir, tous les drapeaux du pays ont été mis en...
Concentración, que la cosa va muy bien.
Ha muerto la reina Isabel II esta tarde en el castillo de Balmoral. La noticia la acaba de anunciar hace solo unos minutos la cadena BBC. Isabel II tenía 96 años y hace solo unos meses cumplió 70 en el trono.